Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, an entitled Karen's daughter demands I let her hold my baby. This crazy family then tries to kidnap my baby, and that is when the situation gets absolutely insane. When the police arrive, Karen insists that I must have stolen my baby because it has a different skin color. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. So, my fiancé, maybe not for much longer, and I were on our way back from a vacation recently. It was a great time and everything went off without an issue. That is, until we started boarding the plane. Now, I know better, I only bring a small backpack with essentials in case I don't get my checked bags. I can survive out of this backpack and it will always pass the baggage check for size and weight. I've done a lot of traveling, so why fight the system? My fiancé did not want to listen to my advice and chose to bring basically a regular full-size bag that barely fits the standards of carry-on. But generally speaking, the airline worker does not want to deal with the trouble and allows it through. However, this time the airline worker was not having it. It was a packed flight, we were boarding last in economy, and it was just a big issue. I got through just fine with my little backpack, but I could hear the argument from the boarding tunnel thingy and it was getting heated. I was about to go back and try to smooth it out, but my fiancé rushed past and just boarded the plane. I assumed, not having heard it super clearly, that the attendant had given in and let her on. However, that was not the case, so we found our seats and settled in. I was pretty tired and I could tell that she was upset, so I just kind of tucked into the window and put my head down and tried to take a nap. Soon after, the airline worker and a cop shows up and they are not messing around and want her off the plane. She tries to plead and cry, etc., but they are not having it, and maybe in a moment of panic or just plain self-preservation, the cop asks if we are together and I blurt out, "No!" shaking my head emphatically. I got kill dagger eyes from her as she shot up and grabbed her bag and followed the cop out. She was also swearing and screaming the whole way out. Now, obviously, this is well after the event I am posting this, but when she did eventually get home, she caught the next flight out with the bag checked. I was there to pick her up. She obviously thought that I was the a-hole here, and to be honest, almost everyone I know thinks that I am an a-hole, except my boss and co-workers who for context were very much relying on me to be back on time, which I gave my word that I would for a really important project that was time sensitive. They were all very happy that I did not get thrown off too. So Reddit, am I the butthole for this self-preservation? And yeah, Ripe Stars, I will redirect this question to you. Do you think that OP is the a-hole here or not? Let us know in the comments. A user in the comments said, "Not the a-hole, get out while you still can." This is how she will be forever. She will never learn from this experience. Comment number 2. Honestly, I was ready to rake you over the coals, but now I am thinking NTA. It's not like your fiancé had an anxiety attack over fear of flying. It sounds to me like a full-on grown woman temper tantrum, which only happened because she did not listen to your travel advice. To be fair, I don't travel light either, but also I don't try to put my giant luggage in the overhead bins. She did this to herself. And now, Ripe Stars, we will read the title story, and it is incredibly long, so please watch until the end of the video to see the ending. It is titled, "Entitled Karen Mother Steals My Baby, Sues Me When I Defend My Child, and I Knock Her Out." So after being on maternity leave for a few months, I was desperate to see anything outside of the walls of my own home. I decided that I was gonna walk about 2 blocks to a local cafe that I loved and had been craving. I did not want to go out with my baby when she was too young, but at about 4 months old, it just felt right to me. Besides, the sun was shining down and it was a day that staying inside would feel like a crime. So anyway, right when I got in, I felt myself become happier from the change in environment. I sat down and ordered myself a simple lunch of a club sandwich and iced tea. It is a very quiet and serene place where it is casual enough for people to pull out their laptops and start working, but nice enough to sit with your family for a meal. About 10 minutes into being there, my baby decided it was a good time to take a nap, which meant I got to eat hopefully in peace. Once she was out around this time, she probably would not wake up for a couple of hours and I could eat while just watching her sleep. Now, on that same day at the cafe was another mother, but this woman was a Karen and her daughter seemed pretty entitled and bratty too. I usually hate judging kids like that because I know most of the time it's the fault of the parent, but for a story like this, I feel that I need to. They were seated a little away from me, but since the cafe was quiet and Karern was loud, I could hear her. She was complaining about her food and coffee. I felt horrible for the waiter and she decided that she was gonna take her business elsewhere. On her way out though, they passed my table and her daughter saw my baby. Daughter, "Mommy, look, it's a baby, just like my doll. Can I hold her?" Karern, "Of course you can, sweetie. You deserve it after this horrible service." So then the daughter goes to grab my baby, but I quickly intervene before she can get close. Me, actually she's asleep and I don't want anybody holding her. Daughter, "Mommy said I could hold the baby. I don't have to listen to you." Me, she's not a doll, she's my baby and I make the rules when it comes to who can touch her or hold her. By the way, I just want to note that this girl looks about 9 or 10 years old and old enough to understand what no means and respect adults. This girl though acted like a brat and started screaming and sobbing to her mother that I was stopping her from grabbing the baby. This of course woke her up and she started crying, which prompted me to need to hold and comfort her. Then Karern decided to get involved in the situation and of course did not understand my side of things. Karern, "Why are you making my daughter cry? I told her she could hold the baby, now hand it over." Me, "You must be out of your mind, lady. My baby was asleep and more importantly, it is mine. You should have asked before telling your daughter that she could hold her and you would have learned the answer was no." Karern, "Well, the baby is awake now, so come on. Give her to my daughter, we don't have all day." Me, "For the last time, no." Another important note I think I should make is that my baby is a mixed race. I am black and my husband is white. For those that do not know, babies don't always fully get their pigment right away and it can take a year for them to get darker skin. That plus my husband's genes mean my baby is very white in appearance. Karern takes this as an opportunity to try and steal my baby. Karern, "She is crying and you clearly are not her mother. You probably snatched this sleeping baby up. Don't worry, honey, we will take you and find your real mommy." Karern then tries to grab my baby out of my arms and at this point I stand up to get in her way. I have Karern and her daughter pulling at me and trying to grab my baby out of my arms. Meanwhile, my baby is hysterical from the jostling and screaming that is going on. I can hear an employee yelling that he is calling the police, but I am too in the heat of what is happening to actually absorb what is being said. Karern did manage to shove me back and grab the baby for about 2 seconds and I was worried that she would run off, so I acted. I took the tray my food came on and smacked her with it in the head. She was facing away from me, ready to run, so I was not worried about hitting my baby at all. Then I managed to grab her back before Karern went down to the floor. I have no idea how I managed that because I am clumsy and not athletic at all. Something just snapped inside of me and to this day I don't know if it was adrenaline or just something that happens to mothers when their child is in danger. Karern did not stay unconscious for very long though. Before she could try anything else though, the police finally arrived. At this point, you can imagine everybody in the cafe stopped everything they were doing and watching the entire thing unfold. I will admit that I was scared because I did just knock a woman out and possibly give her a concussion. I knew enough about the law to know what was assault and battery and could land me with an arrest. Before anybody else could speak, Karern started yelling. "Karern, it's her! Arrest her quick before she gets away!" Police, calm down ma'am, nobody's going anywhere until we get to the bottom of this. Karern, I want that woman arrested. She assaulted me, tried to abuse my daughter, and she stole that baby. You have to make her give me back that baby. Police, you are saying that is your child she is holding? Me, that's a lie. This is my baby. Police, miss, you will get your turn in a moment. I was angry that the police did not listen to me right away, but I knew that I had to follow their rules no matter how annoying they might seem. I was still steamed up and biting my tongue while she told these lies. It was killing me a little on the inside. Finally though, it was my turn to talk to the police and I told them the whole story of wanting to come for lunch and her daughter and her trying to kidnap my baby. I even lifted my shirt to show them the still pretty fresh scar from my C-section. Still, it was a little scary to think that they might believe her and give her my child. They started walking around and talking to other customers and employees to try and get to the bottom of what happened since our two stories are different. Even though I did admit to hitting her with a tray, but only after I got pushed and my baby was grabbed. Other customers told them that they heard the daughter whining about wanting to hold the baby, which did not really add up to the whole "it was her baby" story. Employees and the cameras showed that I did in fact walk in with my baby about 20 minutes after Karern and her daughter. A mother getting her 4-month-old baby stolen would not just sit down to lunch, she would be in some kind of panic. Suddenly, Karern was changing her story to it not being her baby, but she knew it was stolen and had to take it to the police to make sure that the right thing happened. The footage from the cameras also showed her shoving me and grabbing my baby before knocking me out cold. Neither one of us were getting arrested, but reports were being filed and we were going to need to show up in court and let a judge decide if any of the charges would stick. As you can imagine, Karern was not happy about that and thought that for all the trouble she should be allowed to keep the baby until the court date. As you can guess, the police told her no and I was escorted back home because I didn't feel safe walking there with Karern on the loose. I got a letter in the mail a few days later saying when I had to appear in court and the assault and battery charge that I was going up against. Also, the courts were demanding evidence of my child being mine, which I kind of hated needing to provide, but I would do anything I had to make sure I kept my baby. We had her birth certificate and footprint to ID her along with all the hospital paperwork. I did not care if I brought too much stuff because I was scared out of my mind that it would not be enough. I also made sure to have my husband come with me so that if they tried to talk about race, they could see how pale the baby's father was. Court took a while to happen, and in the meantime, I was an anxious mess about the entire situation. Luckily, the DNA testing and proof of it being my child was done beforehand, and everything checked out that my baby was indeed mine. Now I could only hope that the charges would not land me in jail and they could see that I was just trying to protect my kid. Court was honestly a very scary place for me because I had never been in one before and I did not know what to expect. My lawyer just told me to basically sit there and if I had to answer a question, I would be asked to speak. Karern of course gave her story where she was a hero trying to save a baby from what she thought was a kidnapper. Her lawyer made her come off as a caring and considerate mother that would never do something in a bad interest of a child. She said that when they approached me to ask about the baby, I got defensive and started verbally and then physically assaulting her and her daughter. That was when she knew something was wrong and that I could not be trusted with this stolen baby. It was so bad I wanted to gag and then this question got dumped into Karern's lap at one point. Judge, and you claim that you knew this baby was kidnapped and she was not the mother. Karern, well of course she's not the mother. She is black and that baby is clearly white. She should have a white mother and I was doing my duty to go and find her one. Judge, the testing did come back though that she is the mother of this kid. Karern, it does not matter if she gave birth though, because the baby is white. That means she has to give it to a white family. This of course went totally against all of her previous statements and her lawyer was gonna have to try and dig her out of that hole. It basically destroyed any case of her thinking the baby was kidnapped and lying to the police, and saying it was hers was not gonna create a strong argument either. Then it was my turn to answer some questions and it was mostly a recount of that entire day between me leaving the house and the police showing up. Her lawyer, and in the video you hit her with a tray when her back was turned to you. Are you denying this? Me, no, I believe the video shows it correctly. Her lawyer, she admits to hitting my client when her back was turned. This was not a case of self-defense but clearly assault from a dangerous woman. There was a lot more back and forth during the trial, but if I typed out everything, this story would go on forever. Those were just a couple of what I considered the main points to be in the trial. So anyway, what came from that trial, I want to start with me and what my sentencing for the assault would be. First of all, it luckily got dropped down to a misdemeanor because of the circumstances and me acting in fear of my baby being kidnapped right out of my arms. I was gonna have to pay a fine and stay out of trouble, but I was relieved that I was not going to jail. It was a win in my book even though we were trying to get me off with essentially nothing. Some judges are harsher than others. This also meant that the sentencing for Karern was gonna be harsh as well though, and she had more charges against her than I did. She was charged with attempted kidnapping, assault, lying to police, and disturbing the peace. I did not get charged with that last one because she was the one who started it, and I guess here that is what matters. Not every charge against her she was found guilty in though, so her charges were much less than what they could have been. For starters, they dropped the assault charge, claiming that the shove she gave to me was nothing, and if they charge everybody for shoving, then jails would be filled to the brim. Also, they gave her a pass on disturbing the peace since nothing crazy came of it like a riot breaking out or damages being done. The judge decided to just call it a dispute, but the other two charges did stick. Now for the attempted kidnapping, it might not have stuck just from her initial actions. However, her trying to tell the police it was her baby though on top of grabbing her left them no choice but to mark her as guilty. Now for lying to police, I don't know what the actual charge was called, I forgot it. So she got in a lot of trouble for that one as well because of the lies that she told. She was trying to have me arrested and the police to help her steal a baby because of false stories she was telling. And then changing her story on the stand to be different again was just too much for everything. She was sentenced to a year of house arrest, fines and community service. I know reading this some of you wished she went to jail, and trust me, I am right there with you on that, but the story does not end quite just yet though, because Karern decided she wanted to sue me personally in civil court. Her main thing there being the assault and wanting me to pay for the damages that went with it, namely her hospital bills, missed work and mental anguish. This court visit was much less exciting and ended in about 20 minutes. They saw that her hospital bills did not exist because her insurance paid for everything. She did not miss any work because the testing showed she had no concussion or damage, and as for pain and anguish, she had no way to prove that it was negatively affecting her, so I got away with paying her nothing. So that's the first bit of news that might make you feel better about her not going to jail. The second one being that she decided the house arrest she was sentenced to and the times she had to be home were more of a suggestion than an actual rule. She simply refused to listen to it and from what I heard broke the conditions of her house arrest at least 5 times in only a month. They were not small things like getting home 5 minutes later than a curfew though. She left the state the last time for a mini holiday and that was what ultimately forced the hand of the courts. She was sent to spend the rest of her 1 year in jail since she was treating house arrest like some kind of game. I guess those who wanted her to go to jail a few paragraphs back got their wish. I am just happy that she is gone because I feel like I can breathe easily and know that my baby is safe in my arms. And yeah, ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's XXL mega story and please let me know in the comments if you prefer these super long stories. Either way, thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content, and I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much.